Shout out to all our subscribers. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the DAWG Culture podcast. This is episode 4 of season 3. Back at it again. I got my co-host, the dog guy himself,
Gunny.
the Gunny Gun,
Cracking.
Mike Hill. Shout out Mike Hill, CEO, DAWG Culture. And then we got the brains of the operation, Mr. Mark Foster himself. I gotta come with a slick little acronym for you, man.
Oh, we're gonna get that as time goes on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mario boy.
I definitely appreciate y'all coming back. We picked up some subscribers since our last podcast. We brought a little bit of heat.
Indeed.
We plan to do this all season. For the most part, for all those that are new, for those this is the second time, first time you watching, make sure you subscribe. If not, hit that like button and let's keep rocking.
That like button.
Yes, sir. Last time we talked, we really came.
Ask me where I am.
I'm getting to that. You can't cut off the host.
No, you weren't. I'm the host, Paul.
Getting to that. You always
Ask me that.
You gotta jump right in.
Ask my questions, bro.
Ask me how I'm doing, bro.
You know what? Hey, Mike, man. How you doing, man? You look like you somewhere different.
I'm all right, man. I'm somewhere different today. You know, I'm in Philly. I came out here for the Maryland Heat tournament. Shout out to them guys. My wife, she in the hotel. It's cold in Philly, too. Super cold out here. It's weird because it was just hot last week. So, yeah. Thanks for asking.
What type of coffee you drinking?
Regular. And
Regular? Okay.
One cream, one sugar.
You should write dog on that.
I don't really do sugar, but they ain't had my creamer. Y'all ever had, shout to, maybe they can sponsor us, the Cinnamon Toast Crunch coffee creamer. Fire.
Yeah.
Fire.
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
All right. But
we'll get
for those that don't know, make sure you go to that dawgculture.com store, pick up one of these hoodies. I got the hoodie mellow on. Mark got the t-shirts and Mike got the regular sweatshirt hoodie.
No, it's not. No. It's not, not the regular. It's the mock neck. Look at this. It's the mock neck.
Okay.
DAWG Culture, slim fit.
Okay.
Thermal hoodie.
Yeah, you're right. I gotta get
all that up there.
I gotta get better with the title of the products.
You do. And you're
what about you, Mark? Looking a little better this week.
Yeah, everything. Oh, much better.
Yeah.
Much better. We had our conversation. Everything good on this end, man.
Gotcha. I know we rocking early in the AM. But last week we kind of dove into redefining the dog, right? And we really didn't go into like what dog even really means when we talk about the D, the A, the W, and the G. And that is actually an acronym. So I'm gonna toss this to Mike and let him break it down. But today in particular, we're gonna talk about the D and we're gonna break that down. I know. Come on, I know. The letter D.
I don't even feel like I don't feel comfortable talking about the D with you guys. So my wife might start thinking some things. So the letter D we can talk about. Well, pause that. Desire is what D stands for in DAWG. And I used to, well, I still do, break it down. Somebody always walks up. My desire to live had to be stronger than the doctor reports, the negative thoughts, the negative images in the mirror. My desire to live had to be stronger than everything that was happening around me in order for me to continue to see the bigger picture. So that's what the D stands for.
Expound, bro. What about the A, the W, the G, all across the board?
I was just talking about the D. The A
afterwards
is attitude. Keeping a positive attitude, because attitude is key. That helps with your perspective in the words that you speak, because you want to be intentional about your perspective and the words that you say out your mouth. The W is will. You have to find the will to keep going. I always give this example. When I was in the hospital, when I first got there for my stem cell transplant, I was running around with my IV in my little, pole thing. And I was running around the hospital and they was cheering me like I was Rocky. And I was like, y'all just have no clue. Like, I'm an animal, dog. And then after the stem cell transplant, they were like begging me to get up and work out because I needed to. I needed to get up and move around and get my blood flowing. And I just couldn't. Like, for like 3 days, I refused to move because I had no immune system. So my body was like shut down. But I had to will myself up, and I had to will myself to do what I needed to do to finish the process. Also, another quick one, I had to will myself to the gym after every chemo session because I said, I'm not going to let this affect my lifestyle. I'm not going to go home and go to sleep like they're telling me to, because I have to win this my way. And then the G is the grind. My pastor and other people, in my church they always reference the lady with the issue of blood, right? And I hated it because I knew she went 10 years before, or 10 plus years before she got her healing. And I'm like, dog, I don't have 10 in me. And because it hurt so bad in the moment, and this was like year one or year 1.5, and people was just telling me the lady with the, and I'm like, nah, that's not me. But eventually when I stopped thinking about the time frame and I said, you know what, I'm gonna just grind. Regardless of how long it takes, I want to live so bad that it doesn't even matter how long it takes. So once I got that in my mindset, I just started grinding, and I said, if it takes 20 years, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to stop. So the grind is the process, and you grind until you get it done. Bang, that way. You feel me? You're muted.
I see that.
You're muted, Paul.
Got a lot of background feedback, so
okay.
That's interesting that you talk about that, because when we talk about desire, Mark and I had a conversation last night about it, and I think everybody has a desire to do something for the most part, in a general sense.
Hold up, y'all having conversations without me?
Don't do that.
That's crazy.
Anyway. Kind of like when we talk about redefining this DAWG and building this culture, like what role do you feel like this desire plays? And I want Mark to kind of break that down, because in a lot of ways, like people feel like they want something or they desire to have something or be something, but there's things and roadblocks that get in the way. So I want him to kind of break that down a little bit.
Cool indeed, Paul. First I wanted to say, Mike, because you're the team captain, bro. I'm gonna just call a spade and everything. This is the crew.
I'm the captain now.
Team captain. Mm-hmm. So let me know if I'm going in the right direction with this, man. But earlier this morning, I was thinking to myself that I think that desire is a combination of need plus want, right? So like a need sparks urgency, but it sometimes diminishes imagination. A want sparks imagination, but sometimes lacks the necessary urgency. And I feel like desire is where
break that down, though. Break that down.
All right, so check this out. So like, for instance, I need to pay my bills. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And when I'm so focused on my need, that's all I'm going to be able to accomplish, just enough to pay my bills. You know what I'm saying?
I like that.
As far as with a want, nigga, I want to be a millionaire. Let's keep it a G. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep it a buck. But like my want is not enough to get me there. You feel what I'm saying? My want is just me dreaming. If I'm just constantly dreaming, if I'm never awake and I'm never bro, that's what I do. So like,
it's heavy. It's heavy.
So like, if I'm never able to put action towards my want, it's going to only be a dream. And I feel like desire is where the two meet. You have that need plus that want. So like, you didn't desire just to live, bro. You know what I'm saying? You desire to thrive. You desire to go into your next phase of life way better than when you entered where you was at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like that.
That's oh man.
A man
I'm like mesmerized. I'm like, keep going. You know what I mean?
That's because you're looking into my eyes.
I'm like, looking into his eyes, like, I'm with you. For real. But now,
go ahead. Continue on, Paul.
No, because I hear a lot of people talk about how they want something, right? And you know, something I'm trying to teach my son right now, because he always say, I want this and I want that and I want this, like to the point he don't even ask, he just say I want it. And I'm like, you gotta do what's necessary to get what you want. You telling me you want it is not gonna get it to you faster or at all. Either you're gonna ask me or you might have to go and get it yourself.
Yeah.
But either way, if you're not willing to take the necessary steps to get it, then you really don't want it. You know what I mean? And that's just a small example of, you know, me trying to teach him at a young age. Don't just say you want something. What are you willing to do to get it? Are you willing to ask me for it? Are you willing to move towards it? Are you willing to work, whatever it is? You know what I mean? I'm not, he's not doing child labor or nothing like that. Like, oh, I want some orange juice. I'm like, you know what a refrigerator is?
Right.
You know what the cups are? Go in there, pour some orange juice. You know what I mean? But I don't want him to get in the habit of just saying he wants something and expects it to appear in front of him. You know what I mean? And I think that's how a lot of people think. Oh, I want this. You know what I mean? And they don't, like you said with Mike, he had to take the steps in order to become cancer free.
Yeah.
He didn't just sit there like, yo, I'm gonna beat this, and he didn't change anything. So when you say desire is about action.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Desire is about really getting up and going to get it. Because if I really desire, if I really say, and I think Tony Robbins talks about it, he said, you know, most people don't get what they want. People get what they must have. Like, I must have that. I gotta have that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No, 100.
Yeah. Must have. But go ahead, run with that.
Nah, it's crazy because that literally is the epitome of what I was just saying as far as the needs and the wants. It's like, and I like what you just said, like, desire is a contact sport. So real life, and I think we get so enamored with the feelings of stuff. Again, that's where the wants come into play. I want this, I want that, and man, wouldn't it be nice to have this? But it's like desire is a contact sport. What are you willing to do? Another topic or another thing I wanted to kind of like bring this whole point home is that I feel like GPSs and desire kind of go hand in hand. And it's like a GPS has the capabilities to take us any and everywhere. But it's super useless if you don't put a destination on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't need to know how, like, to come up with, like, how to get to where we need to get to and everything. All the GPS said, where do you want to go? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And if you have a willingness to go on that journey, you'll get there. And I think the same thing applies to desire. You know, you have to ask yourself, where do I ultimately want to be? But you have to have a willingness and commitment to see the process through in order to fulfill it. But the biggest thing with that is the commitment. What are you willing to do each and every day to get to where you need to get to, bro? Like, again, going back to where you was at, man, like, you just didn't desire to just live. You know what I'm saying? You didn't desire just to survive. You desired to thrive, bro. And like, man, real talks, man.
Mike, why are you cheesing down there?
Yeah, super cheesing, man.
No, because y'all hot, dog. Y'all dudes is fire. I'm like, yeah, exactly. Like,
cheesing, man. You down there smiling, boy.
The squad crazy.
You see them teeth, man.
Right.
Squad crazy.
But now jump in, bro. Like, you know, because again, you the one that, you know, you can speak from experience, man. You was the one that was there. I mean, we all have our stories to tell too, but like, yeah, jump on that.
So, and it's funny because I was wrestling with desire or desperation because I feel like it runs hand in hand. Because so I put something up on my Instagram like year 2 of the cancer, and when they started to tell me, you know, you wasn't gonna make it, and it said, you never know how strong you are until strong is all you have, right? And before everything, it's like, yo, this is who I think I am. And then when you get thrown in the fire, you find out who you really are. But the good thing about it is you're able to become that person in the fire. So I had to start becoming the individual that I wanted to be. And it took desperation to a destination, if you will, because, you know, like you said, the GPS. It took like me being desperate because I feel like when you're desperate, there is no letting up. Like, prime example, my dog, Snoop, when there's another dog in his face, it's like there's like a desire and desperation to attack. And I know we didn't want to go about attacking, but it's like nothing. I can't even hold him back. Well, I can hold him back, but he forgets about me. All he wants is what he wants, and that's what desperation and desire. Like, you forget about the noise, you forget about what people are saying, you forget about how people see you, and all you focus on is what it is that you want at that moment. And at that moment, I said, I want life, but I'm desperate for it. And there's no way I am going to let a doctor's report, when I look in the mirror, like the thoughts saying that you're going to die, because like the craziest thoughts came in my mind, like, yo, start calling people. I literally, at a point in time, I started calling people and apologizing for anything I ever did wrong, because like you're in a space where like you don't know, but it's up to you to go within and find out what you don't like. You find out, like, although I may not know what the outcome looks like, in my heart, I'm going to create my outcome. You know what I'm saying? And at 25 years old, it's like, all right, I believe in God, right? So I'm praying and I'm doing all this stuff, and I hope now, I'm like hoping God is real type thing. You know what I'm saying? Because this is around the time when I kind of realized that, like, I'm done being religious, like reading all the Bible verses, reading all the confessions, working for my healing. And I said, God, I'm going to just trust you, right? So with the trust, right, it's like, I know you got me. Plus the desperation is like, I can't lose, because if I'm going to give everything within me to get out of this hospital and to come out on the other side, and I got my dog on my back, there's no way. So it all like boils down to like really believing it though. So you have to be desperate. You have to desire what it is that you want, but then you have to actually believe it. You know what I'm saying? Because you like, that's like the key, the belief factor. But like everything else runs hand in hand. But once you start to believe that, yo, I'm desperate for this and I'm going to get it. Once you believe that you're going to get it, then the action takes place. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can say it all you want, but if you don't believe it, you won't even take action towards it. And it won't be like, it'll just be talk. The desperation, it comes out of you. It's like, prime example, when I was a kid, we used to play throwback. And when I was born, you know, the umbilical cord was wrapped around my neck, so I developed asthma. When I was under the pile and everybody was jumping on me, I was having like a panic attack, and I was so desperate to get up out of there, I was doing any and everything in my power to squiggle out of the bottom of the pile. And that's like, you don't stop because I needed to breathe type thing, right? I needed it. Like, I yearned for it. So I did everything in my power to get it. And when I got out, it was like, yeah, I did that because I needed to, like, in order to, you know, get from this uncomfortable, terrifying space, I had to do anything in my power to get out of it. And that's where the desperation comes in. Like, you need it so bad that it doesn't matter what's happening around. You do whatever is required to achieve it, right?
I'm still on mute. Here's $1 million question. Are you born with it, or is it something that you...
I wasn't. I promise you. When I was a kid, my brother forced me to fight. I wasn't a fighter. Like, I was kind of like, my mom a gangster, but she's so like kind-hearted. And I took that part from my mom. So I didn't even think, honestly, bruh, like, I didn't even think I would.
What got you there, though? What got you to get that desire?
The process, bruh. Like, the process of football and going through, like, one, it was, I wanted something really bad, and that was to be an NFL football player. So at the level of talent that I was, like, I wasn't like the worst football player, but it was some intangibles I didn't have. Like, I wasn't fast. I wasn't big, I wasn't tall, I wasn't strong. So everything that I needed to get there was at the forefront. So I had to start taking steps in that direction to actually become that individual. So I had to get a trainer. I had to like wake up early in the morning. Like I had to do all these things. And then when I got to a point of like at the end, not the end of the process, but like through the process, I realized like I started to becoming that individual, but it took the necessary steps. You know what I'm saying? It took doing what was required, what was necessary to become that person. So the process is what got me there.
So do you think the desire made you someone completely different? Not completely different, but it made you a dog. The desire brought you to that.
The desire made me a dog at life.
Right.
I was a dog on the football field, but that desire to live made me a dog at like wanting to be the same person off the field that I was on the field. Because on the field, like I'm in my 2-3, like nothing can go wrong. I'm enjoying the best of my life because I'm in my environment, in my element. But off the field, I didn't have that same passion towards anything. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, be the greatest football player. So that desire to live, now I'm like, be the greatest person in life. Like be the best version of yourself in everything you do. You know what I mean? So yeah, it changed me, man. And if I were to play football today, bruh, I'm trying to tell you, young, it'll be it. Oh,
you be weak.
Boy, I'm trying to tell you, boy.
I got you. Well, Mark, I know you and I had some conversations around that. What's kind of your outlook on it?
Having conversations.
You don't answer text messages, bro. We didn't have this conversation before. Man, I definitely feel that desire is something that can be cultivated. You know, I think so many times people feel that like you either have it or you don't. And I think that is just such a
like you hear coaches say that all the time.
You said what?
Coaches say that all the time.
Right.
And I don't think that's necessarily true, man. I don't think that you either have it or you don't. I think that things can, don't get me wrong, you know, something that me and Paul were discussing yesterday, you know, some people are better at things than other people. You know what I'm saying? We all have our strengths. We all have our weaknesses. But as far as desire, as far as actually like obtaining or cultivating such a certain sense of I was going to use the word desire, want for something, want, and again, need. And I think that we can all get there, but I think we just have to, I think one thing as far as cultivating it, it's getting silent and just eliminating the noise, man. You know, what's really truly important to you? And I think more often than not, especially in this day and age, we have so many distractions that takes us away from actually figuring out what do we really even want? What is it do I even really truly desire? You know, am I chasing the objects that society is telling me is important to me? You know, am I running the wrong way? That's one thing I always ask myself is like, I never want to climb a ladder so fast to only get to the top to figure out it was against the wrong wall. And I think that's where desire really truly comes into play, and it's so important. It's so important because of the simple fact that like, how do you know that you're going in the right direction? You know, having those times to reflect and ask myself, what is actually truly important to me in this stage in time in my life? Like you said, bro, at one point in time, you had the desire to be in the NFL.
Yeah.
And I think that was a combination of wanting to play football and the need to want to take care of your family. You know what I mean? Yeah. But then that desire totally switched when you in the hospital bed, you know, but it's and like
nothing else matters.
Nothing else matters. But it's so crazy how when you really take a step back and look at that situation, you being in the hospital actually allowed, I don't want to use the word pause, but like that was like the silence moment for you.
Mm-hmm.
This is all, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is all I can really consume myself with. Like, this is what's important right now.
Exactly.
And through that, like you just said a little while ago, you was able to really, realize that like, oh, this goes beyond just football. this goes beyond just me, living and stuff. This goes beyond that and everything. Like now, this is about who I am cultivating as a person. Jump in, bro.
So, make sure.
I don't jump out, Mike.
Shut up. Two things. When something is all you can think about, and that's good, because in the beginning it was just football, and that's all I thought about, and that's all I put my energy towards, and that is how I became the football player that I was, because that consumed my life, that consumed my thought process. Everything I did was like football related. And then you shift to the hospital, football didn't matter anymore. What mattered was what was most important, and that was just to live. So now all my focus goes here. And who says it? Where your focus goes, your energy flows. ET says that. And it's so like accurate, because when I focus on just living, I used everything in my power to figure out what it is I needed to do to accomplish that mission. But when you focus on living, or not living, but when you focus on this, that, so now your focus is everywhere and it's spread out. But you need 100% maximum focus to accomplish the actual job. So that was one thing. Two things, when you say things happen when it comes to desire, because it can be cultivated, and it can like show up when a situation in life happens. And this is why I say that. And I always come back to the example of I heard of a lady, and her child was like stuck under a car.
Mm-hmm.
She does, like, first of all, the mother's love is crazy for the child. She was so desperate to save her child that she raised a car with her own strength. You feel me? Like, it mean that much to her. It wasn't about her in the moment, right? It was about my child and their future, and this will not be it for them. So I had to give everything that I had within me, even if it killed me, to save my child. And that's where the desire comes in. Sometimes life hits you with an obstacle, with a mountain, and it's like, yo, kill or be killed, like fight or flight. And that's the moment where you can find it. You know what I'm saying? Like, do I want this enough to dig down inside and go get it? Or life will hit you where you ain't even got a choice. It's like, nah, I got to get up out of here. And then the desire comes out of you. Like, it just comes out. And yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
What we talk about, right, I think it's a mashup of a lot of things. Mashita, big up respect.
Big up stool.
Shark attack time. No.
Big up obstacle.
When we talk about like a disassessment, when we talk about personalities, right? We all, I think, born with different personalities. Well, actually, personalities are shaped over time, but in understanding the gifts that we do come into this world with, right? So that's one thing. But along anything that we become or do, those things have to be nurtured, right? Yeah. So when we're talking about having a desire, I think we talked about this last week, that's based off your training, right? And when I say that, I'm not saying your desire is based off your training. I'm saying how you respond to what you want, right? As at one point, you had asthma, right? And you looked at yourself a different way, but your desire became greater than your asthma. You know what I mean? Like this thing that we're talking about. And if you didn't have the proper training, do you think you could have accomplished what you accomplished?
Right.
You know what I mean? So for a lot of people, I think they want stuff, but their training or their perspective, their mindset has not put them in a position where they can achieve it. Right. So it's like one of the, you use desire, you use desperation. I'm gonna use drive. Right. You can put in the GPS. Yeah, I desire to have this, but if I don't drive this vehicle, I'm never gonna get there. And, going back to the great philosopher, J. Cole, right?
Yeah.
The good news is you came a long way. The bad news is you went the wrong way.
The wrong way.
Right? But I honestly feel like going the wrong way is good sometimes. Because sometimes you find yourself in the middle of nowhere. Sometimes you got to go where nobody is, even if it's the wrong way, to realize I don't belong here.
That's heavy.
You know what I'm saying? Just like the I think the parable son, right?
Yeah.
The king's son, he took his inheritance, he went off, he blew all the money, found himself in a pig pen. And then he realized, like, yo, I'm tripping. I don't belong here. You know what I'm saying? But it took him having to go and do what he wanted to do, what he desired to do, to realize, like, yo, that's not even important. You know what I mean? So sometimes we need to go astray. Not to say go do something crazy, but, you find yourself somewhere you don't belong. You got to backtrack, like, yo, where am I supposed to be right now? What's important to me?
Right.
No, you're not feeling that?
No, I feel you. Like, yeah, it's like, but see, it's in those moments when you are lost and you like, how did I get here? When you start to figure out which direction to actually go, when you start asking for help, when you start trailing people down, like, yo, I'm trying to get to X, Y, and Z. Like, these are the moments where we realize that I can't do it on my own type thing. You know what I mean? Men.
Let me ask this though, Mike. Is desire the most important attribute?
Let me finish, Paul.
Never. I'm always gonna cut you off.
Is desire the most important desire attitude? I think I don't know if I think they all.
The starting point.
I think they all gotta run hand in hand, bro.
Okay.
At the same damn time.
Okay.
I just think you need all of it. Cause look, you can desire you can desire one thing, but if you aren't willing to grind, like, do you really desire it? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can desire. That's the example I want to use. So I was about to go into something else.
Nah, that's good stuff, bro. That's good stuff because it's actually a recipe.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you baking a cake, if you ain't got eggs, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's all about a recipe. And one thing that I wanted to touch on with what Paul was saying, man, I think, with both of you guys, I think that's one of the things that, as far as that whole cultivating thing, cultivating the right paradigm is very, very, very important in this process. Because going back to what Paul said, sometimes going off track is the best thing that can happen to you. But if your paradigm is not in the right place, you can look at it as, oh man, I wasted all this time.
Break down paradigm for people like me who don't use that word.
Most definitely. Paradigm, how you see things. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, perspective.
Yeah, perspective, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? Hand in hand, synonymous.
I'm rocking with a bunch of geniuses.
So, like, the whole idea is that, like, in the power of choice in that situation is a power that shouldn't go unnoticed. You know what I'm saying? Or shouldn't be, like, diminished. The reality is that you can choose to look at it as, I wasted so much time, I can't get that time back. Mm-hmm. Or you can you can choose to look at it as, now I know what I don't want. You know what I mean? Like you said, in order for you to find out what you don't want, you have to kind of go down some roads that you don't ever want to go down. Yeah. I would never know what job I didn't want if I didn't work the first job you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So, like, if you can just have the proper perspective when it comes to those things, I think that's one step towards helping to cultivate what it is that you truly desire, as opposed to just, again, only focusing on needs and only focusing on wants.
Right.
So our goal for the day was really attack the letter D. Okay, let me clarify that.
Please do.
And talk about desire. But for those that want to actually accomplish, some great things and change some things around in their lives, especially during this time, can we give them some action steps to really kind of make these things happen?
Yeah, we can always.
First off, they got to buy some DAWG Culture to get them in the right paradigm. That's the first and foremost. But go ahead.
It's all about your paradigm, bro. Like, for real, if you ain't got the right paradigm, it's a wrap.
How do you get the right paradigm though?
So
I'm gonna jump in. Mike. I'm gonna jump in. The one action step that I would advise, man, is going back to Mike's situation. Being in the hospital, that was your moment of solitude. That was your silence. Now you was able to kind of get your, like, what's important to me. So I say throughout the week, man, find 5-10 minutes to sit down and just ask yourself what's important. And not even ask the question to your boy, to your wife, to, your husband, for females that's watching and everything. Like, ask yourself and see what that internal, what just kind of rises out of you. You know what I'm saying? But just sit in silence and ask that question. I think that's at least one step towards cultivating that desire.
And I think, honestly, the paradigm is important as well. But like, perspective, right? A lot of us, we always, and you guys heard this, the glass half full, half empty. But the perspective is, if I can look at every situation, every last situation that happens, how can I see this as opportunity? Like, not this always happens to me, woe is me. Because yes, and I do believe that's good, Mark, to find out like what matters. But you find out what matters, and then something bad happens, and then you forget about what matters, and you think about, this all, like, you know what I'm saying, the negative. So we don't want our emotions to get involved with the process, and that's the problem. We feel, and then we change our direction because of our feelings. So if my perspective says emotions aren't involved, this is just opportunity. And if something quote unquote bad happens, okay, how can I see this differently to help me? Like, how can I even look at what happened, assess the situation? Because even if that's the last outcome, assess the situation and understand how to not make it happen again. You know what I'm saying? So perspective is key, because once we think negative, we produce negative. But when we start thinking positive, we start responding positively, and then we have positive outcomes.
One more thing, Paul, before we drive this home. That's good stuff, Mike. So last week, as Paul said, we were trying to go about talking about redefining the dog. So I'm going to use that cliche that you just used, bro, that expression. How, like you said, sometimes we look at the glass either half full or half empty. The proper perspective moving forward is to understand that the glass is refillable, which means is that, like, we can take action in how we want this thing to go.
Crazy.
So, Paul,
I told you be dropping gems. I didn't even think about that. Like, dang, we can fill this glass back up.
Right. We don't have to worry about what it looks like now. We can just pour more in it. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna be honest with you, I always used to get confused. Like, is it half empty? Or is it half empty, the bad one? I couldn't even remember. I was like, half. Yeah, the cup is half something. But nah, I'm with you, man. I think that's super important, man, and having that perspective. And I think for the most part, and we're not necessarily talking about people with a good perspective, bad perspective, but like, and really understanding this desire that they have. I think everybody, generally speaking, has a desire, right? But it's, what are the roadblocks in their way of getting to that desire? And like you said, because people are so emotional, in one season you can want this, and the next season you want that. But going back to what y'all said, like, what's most important? And once you figure out what's most important, you set your GPS and you focus your energy on that, right? Because I think it ain't really about managing time more than it is about managing your energy, right? And once you can kind of be able to, I feel like you can create anything with the right time and energy, right? And I think Mike said it earlier in the podcast. He said he stopped focusing on time, because focusing on time takes energy. Me saying this is not happening yet. This is not happening. This is not I'm looking for it to happen. But when you just focus on making it happen, take the time. It's gonna take however long it takes. That's the reality, right? But I'm gonna put my energy and my actions towards making this desire a reality, right? So I think it's super important that you guys kind of take that, what we're saying, and put it into action. right? Are you willing to peel back the time? Say, you know what? I'm just gonna work on it, right? And you know, if you can, leave your comments. We would love to get back to you. We would love to build. But as we go on this series, we're gonna address the letter D, the letter A, the letter W, and the letter D, and we're gonna drive it home.
G.
DAWG Culture as a whole. So stick with us.
Shout out to my wife.
Weeks. Yes, sir.
Hey, ladies, I'm married. My bad, dog. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my wife, though. Love you, girl.
Yeah. That ain't what he said when he got on the number.
Yeah, I did.
He always talking about his wife. You know, shout out to all the wives, right?
Yeah.
Also, Mrs. Marlborough. Shout out to all the wives.
Yeah.
Right? All right. They allow us to take some time out to do this, so we appreciate it. For all the wives out there. You know, let your man get a little bit of time to develop, just a little bit of time.
Yeah. As we develop, you develop.
Yep.
All right. But we signing out. Hope to catch y'all next week. Make sure y'all smash that subscribe button, that like button, and leave the comments below.
And share. And share.
Please do.
Go ahead, give us
up.
Shout out to my wife. Look. What'd you say?
No, I said give us the sauce. Love is love.
Listen, and the last thing, if take your wife out on a date, in the house if you have to, but take her out. You know what I'm saying? Keep it funky. For all my married men, keep it funky, man. Because that's your right hand. You know what I mean? Can't do nothing without your right hand. If you left-handed, can't do nothing without your left. That's a bar.
That's good stuff.
All right. Until next week.
You gonna do the love?
Keep going.
No, love is love.
Love is love. You know what I'm saying?
It's easy.
I mean, all that.